The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening. I'm Mayor Rick Lott. I'd like to call this meeting to order. As we all know, in the last week, we had two members that were always present in our commission. And one of them was always in this chair against that wall over there. I'm sure if you looked on the back of the chair, it has to have his name in it. His name was Don Walden. He was a gentleman that he attended these meetings. He knew every content that we were working on, every resolution, every ordinance we were approving, and it let us know afterwards whether he agreed with us or didn't agree with us, but he loved us no matter what. And I'll tell you that we might miss him with these chambers, but we have someone speaking on behalf up in heaven right now, and he's a wonderful man, and we'll miss him dearly. But I'll tell you, he definitely did wonders for our community. We had another gentleman named Henry Falcon. Just another loved individual in our community, and he was always present here. But he was one of those individuals that sometimes you went to that store to Winn-Dixie just because it's not maybe because you needed a jug of milk, but you wanted a jug of milk and you wanted to get a handshake or a hug from Henry Falcon, or that big smile on his face. But he also volunteered throughout our city, and he was one of those businesses that we all ask all our businesses to be, is to don't just provide commerce and jobs, but also, embrace our city, get involved in our city, and support our city with your time and your money. And Henry was a great example of that. So if we would, before we go into prayer, if we could just have a moment of silence for both, we sure would appreciate it. Amen. As always, we always start our meetings off in prayer. And tonight we have Pastor Jeffrey Howe from the Church on the Rock. And following that, we will salute and have the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Pastor, I don't thank you so much for being here this evening with us. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, sir. We bow before you, Father. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your great love for us. God, we are mindful in our community these two that were mentioned to others, God, we just ask you to be with their family, their friends, their loved ones. God, we lift up this community to you. We ask you to keep the spiritual and moral fabric strong and tight. God, we lift up our community leaders, our government officials. We ask you to keep your hand on them. You guide them, give them wisdom and insight and understanding. Father God, we lift up our military to you, our first responders. We give thanks for them. We ask you to watch over them and protect them. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. We ask you to guide them. And this is in the precious name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
With the flag up on the monitor. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Hal, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, next item.
Recognitions, presentation of a proclamation honoring Pat Pogue.
This is a very special moment in our history of our commission here. We, from time to time, we like to recognize organizations and individuals that dedicate themselves to making Plant City really a wonderful place to live and a great place to raise a family. And in doing so, we like to give a proclamation, which is the highest honor that this city bestows upon a citizen. And tonight, we'd like to honor Ms. Pat Pogue. Ms. Pat, will you please come forward? If you want to know what being a servant to a community is, a servant to each other, someone that embraces putting others before yourself, really pay attention to this proclamation, because I don't think anything says it better than the life that we're going to honor here tonight. Okay, that she's done so much and continue to do so much more. But here's some accomplishments I think we should all strive to, try to just do a small piece of. And so, Ms. Pogue, we love you dearly. Okay, we not just because you're our friend and you're a wonderful person, but very few people, step up and serve their community the way you have. And we hope this inspires others. And tonight, I hope you feel honored and feel the love and appreciation this city has for you. But the proclamation reads, whereas Pat Pogue is a longtime resident of the Plant City community, whereas in her involvement and steady leadership, she has made an indelible impact on many people in our community. Whereas Pat Pogue has served on numerous boards in our community, including the East Hillsborough Historical Society, Friends of the Library at Bruton Memorial Library, and also in partnering with Hillsborough Community College in sponsoring the Fun Festival with John Dix, former mayor of Plant City. United Way of Hillsborough County, which provides help for children to stay after school, developmental disabled adults in need of career building skills, and troubled teens in need of a second chance. Also, the Robert W. Williford Railroad Museum and the Stepping Stone Farm, an organization that helped troubled young ladies. And whereas Pat Pogue is an adult Bible teacher for 39 years in several churches and places of worship in the Lakeland and Plant City area. Whereas Pat Pogue was honored as the Woman of the Year by the Business and Professional Women of USA. The Woman of the Year award was presented by Pat, was presented to Pat by Gwendolyn Thomas, president of the club. And whereas Pat Pogue worked many years as a soccer referee for the city of Plant City, and she also helped with Kids Night Out program and team dances at the Plan Team. Whereas Pat Pogue was honored by the Plant City Chamber of Commerce with a Volunteer Appreciation Award for her service and volunteering at many July 4th celebrations and many other events. Pat was also an ambassador with the Chamber for several years, attending ribbon cutting ceremonies and other events, as was honored with the Good Egg Award. That's big in this city. Yeah. And whereas Pat joined the Plant City Citizen Club in 1989 and was served in many capacities, including club secretary, club director, president-elect, president, governor-elect, and governor. As governor, Pat had the duty to oversee 21 Civitan clubs throughout the state of Florida. And as governor, she received the following award: District Distinguished Service Award, Outstanding Club President Award, Club and District Honors Keys Civitan of the Year Award. And as a member of the Plant City Civitan Club, Pat Pogue has served many worthy causes and received awards, including the Plant City Little League Team Committee for the Little League team sponsor for 17 years by the club at Mike Sansone Park. Chairman of the Christmas party for exceptional education students at J.S. Robinson Elementary School, where each student received a special gift from Santa. I don't know who Santa was. The Civitan Club has also arranged for certain classes to obtain grants to purchase materials for students, as well as a monthly dollar amount for cooking classes at the school. She was chairperson of the Pride at Tomlin Committee, organizing after-school events for honored students and to honor an outstanding honor student at the school. And whereas Pat Pogue received the She Knows Where She Is Going award from Girls Incorporated of Lakeland. The criteria for nomination are educational, history, community leadership, service, and demonstration of concern for girls and women and overcoming personal obstacles. Whereas Pat Pogue also received the Mr. George Community Service Award during her 30-year employment at Publix. The award was named after the founder of Publix, George Jenkins, who laid the foundation for a strong tradition of service, not only to Publix customers and associates, but to the community as well. And whereas when the Plant City Civitan Club disbanded, Pat Pogue was asked to create an organization to continue the youth parade, the Strawberry Youth Parade, as she helped organize the Strawberry Youth Parade. Whereas Pat Pogue has volunteered for 49 years at the festival and is now a captain in the ambassador program. Whereas through her many contributions to the citizens of Plant City, Patricia Pogue is a timeless example of the highest standards of citizenship, forever touching the lives of all that she encounters with her selfless dedication and humility. Now, therefore, I, Rick Lott, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Plant City, Florida, hereby recognize Pat Pogue for her many years of community service and extend to her the appreciation of our citizens for all of Plant City. Ms. Pogue, we love you.
Thank you very much.
You didn't turn around and see that. That was a standing ovation. Wish for everybody to get here. Congratulations. Yeah, well, shake your hand, give you a hug.
And I have had my back. Thank you so much. Can I take this opportunity to thank so many people that have done so much to help with our Strawberry Youth Parade, and a lot of things in the community. It is not a one-person thing. As he mentioned all these things, it's really a group effort. Well, with the virus and several things happening in our community, it's very difficult with our youth parade to continue as we have in the past. A lot of the schools do not allow us to go into the schools, as you realize that. But so many people have done so much with the youth parade. Mr. City Manager, I know this is going to be music to your ears because it's going to save the city some money. Since we are, sing it louder, since street closings and so forth, and that means just one street closing when we do this grant parade. The State Farmers Market were always so great to help us with lining up the parade for many, many years. In fact, 47. The State Farmers Market was just outstanding. Also, the South Florida Baptist Hospital gave us permission to do the judging there in their yard on the south side. We would set up the, judging table and so forth, and festival on this tent, and set that up. But there's just so many people that contributed to our youth parade. We appreciate it. Also, Mr. Sparkman, if you'll thank the festival, they were just contributed so much to our parade. It was very much appreciated. And another person that for many, many years, and this is a little bit difficult, Mr. Merle Henry always drove the convertible for our Grand Marshal for many, many years. And I'm sorry. We always appreciated everybody's contribution. We do want to recognize the fact that we do not have the Strawberry Youth Parade any longer. Our youth will be included in the Grand Parade, and they're all excited about it. They're excited about the Grand Parade, and Ms. Gail, she'll come up, please, and we'll recognize her. She's the chairperson of the Grand Parade. Do you want George to come up with you? Or do you want? Okay. Gail has our support as the youth parade board and so forth. So we also have tonight with us David Wolf, who is a vice president of our youth parade. We have Danny McIntyre, he's on our board. Joanna Weatherton is our secretary. And I was looking around to see if I could see Carol Ryan. She isn't here. If y'all will come up and Danny and let Gail know that our board supports her and all that she's doing with our Grand Parade.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. I am excited that we're incorporating the youth parade into the Grand Parade. It's a new challenge, but it's gonna be great for sure. And I've got big shoes to fill. And just listening to all those accolades about Ms. Pat, there was a lot I learned tonight just listening to that. But I'm gonna take her guidance and utilize it and ring her phone every chance I get. So whatever I do. So thank you again, and we look forward, and I'm sure I'm going to borrow some of your committee members as well to join our committee.
Well, we're behind you and everything. And the board voted to donate our funds that we had left to the Berry Productions, which really puts on the Grand Parade. So.
You don't say cheeseburger now.
Okay, can you get closer?
Oh, okay.
You bigger looking back.
This is just a small way we wanted her to know.
Small. Fine.
You're not going to give it to me.
No, it's Rick's bank account number at the bottom, it'll be fine.
Well, thank you, Pat.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Ray, do you have any comments?
I have one more. The parade is March 8th, 2021.
Okay.
So everybody plans to attend.
Are you still accepting applications?
Yes.
Okay. So applications, they can still participate up until what date for an application to get in? Date before- Only in Plant City.
Only in Kansas City. Wait to the last minute.
We wanted to especially so that, y'all know, because she works so hard for the Grand Parade. We want her to know how much we appreciate her and her committee, and we're behind you.
Let's see the amount of checks so we get our.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I tell you what, I mean, she's still amazing us, right? Brings in a big check to give to our Grand Parade Committee. So, Ms. Bogue, thank you, man. Congratulations on that, okay? Please, can we show your appreciation one more time?
I think that was the longest proclamation we've ever had. I got exhausted just listening to that. I'm not sure when you've ever slept. Congratulations, dear.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Public comments?
So, Madam Clerk, do we have any comments about it to us electronically tonight?
No, none were submitted for the minutes.
Okay. So at this time, we're open for public comment. Would anyone like to address the commission at this time? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Madam Clerk, next item.
Presentation by Jeff Ogden, President of the Plant City Optimist Club.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Jack Holland, Director of Parks and Recreation. That's a hard act to follow. I'm sorry. I appreciate Ms. Pat for being involved in all the programs that we've had over the years at Plantain and July 4th, so thank you very much. Quite a while.
Mr. Holland, I have one question. Being a soccer referee, I can see her running out there giving people the yellow flag.
She was good about
foul, foul, foul. Can you imagine that?
She did a good job with it. We appreciate it. What I'd like to do tonight is I want to introduce the president of the Plant City Optimist Club. I've had the pleasure of working with them for over 40 years. In our department, they commit a lot of time, a lot of talent to our programs, whether it's youth sports or some of our other non-athletic programs. And when the Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center was being built, they asked, what can we do to help? And we knew that the gymnasium would have 4 basketball courts, small courts. And we said, we can use school boards. And they said, you know, that's something we can do. And they've been holding this check for quite a while due to COVID and not having public meetings. They figured we'd wait till the first of the year to get it in here to you. So coming up behind me is Jeff Ogden. He's our current president of the Plant City Optimist Club.
Mr. Ogden, welcome, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For 59 years, the Plant City Optimist Club has served our city and community as a friend of youth. We participate in 13 distinct activities each year with our local youths as the focus. We also conduct 2 fundraisers each year, our annual golf tournament and the Christmas tree lot located in front of the Plant City High School. Several of you are customers of that tree lot and we appreciate your support. The proceeds from these fundraisers stay in the Plant City area for various initiatives such as scholarships for graduating seniors. The families of Jimmy Beatty and Floyd Hall, 2 of our club supporters who passed away recently, donated funds to be used for the support of youth programs in our city. Youth basketball was near and dear to their hearts, so the Optimist Club decided to match those contributions and increase the amount required to provide 4 scoreboards that were needed for the new Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center. Tonight, we are presenting a check in the amount of $21,690.80 for the cost of those 4 scoreboards and hope to place their names on 2 of the scoreboards in their memory for their support of youth sports in Plant City. We appreciate the city's support of the youth of Plant City and are proud to partner with the city to continue providing a great community for our youth to grow up in and enjoy. So I have a check for whoever would like to receive.
I tell you what, you bring us money, we'll all come
Right
down,
there.
okay? It takes all of us to carry a big, that check that big, right? Let's go on down to the
And we have a number of our members here as well.
Our chief financial thing.
Only tonight, and we can see you bring us a check. And that was just kidding for the record, okay? Yeah, the record button.
Got the research and hats.
Only if you want to. Try to even this out some.
Small, very nice.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ogden? If you would, at a later date, we'd love for you to come in and just take a few minutes and update us, because I would love for, I know a lot of citizens realize it, but the Optimist Club, like you mentioned, for many, many years, you always find ways to improve our recreation facilities, our youth. I know that for many, many years, when we have families that might be in a little bit of a bind or tight at that time, you always make sure that you step up and you pay for those kids so they can participate in our city sports and so forth. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more touching than making sure every kid gets a chance in our city. So we appreciate the check for the school boards. I know the city manager knows how to spend money, okay? And save money. But we just want to say thank you for tonight. And we also thank you for the many, many years of your commitment to our Parks and Recreation Department.
We appreciate your support as well. Thank you very much.
If you need a tree every year, we know to get you, right?
That's where I get mine.
Right. I know
Where we get ours.
The day after Thanksgiving.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you. It's all of you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, just one other point here. I know Mr. Holland isn't in a green shirt tonight, but I'm pretty sure he's been a longtime member of the Optimist Club, and we want to make sure that he's recognized and not forgotten. Everybody realizes that he's been part of that organization for many, many years as well.
Appreciate you, Jack. Okay. Madam Clerk, next item.
Consent agenda.
Okay, before we ask for approval of the consent agenda, would anyone like to have an item removed for the consideration? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the commission?
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please place your vote. Record the vote, please. Consent agenda is approved with a vote of 5-0. Madam Clerk, next item.
Reports of officers, boards, and committees.
Mr. City Manager, we have an active city manager report tonight, don't we?
Yes, sir. Quite a bit going on. And I've got 3 action items, and the first 2 have presentations that go with them. We have a large purchase pending of 3 side-loading automated collection trucks for our automation conversion program in solid waste. So we want to go over that because this is a purchase that is just slightly under $1 million in total for those vehicles. But it's also a great opportunity for us to give you an update on the progress of the solid waste automation program and where we're at in informing the community. And for that, I've asked our solid waste director, Jill Sessions, to be here tonight and just give us that update. And in that, she'll also cover the trucks. So with that, Jill.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, and City Manager. I'm Jill Sessions, Director of Solid Waste, and it's a joy to be here tonight to speak with you. As the City Manager mentioned, seeking approval tonight to purchase.
Can you sit on? Or you can just tell me next if you want.
Next.
That's fine.
Purchase 3 more fully automated side loading refuse trucks. This is an example here of what they'll look like. As you know, we've already purchased 4, and they're due to arrive in May this year. And because of the long lead time on these vehicles, we're going to go ahead and order the next 3, which will complete the purchases. And just to make a note, the reason they're so expensive is that they have a lot of technology added to them: GPS, RFID readers, and an automated system for work orders. So by automating those things, it reduces some of the time that we spend in our office. So I'm excited to tell you the progress we've made on this community outreach. With the help of Fried Egg, we have developed a dedicated web page and survey. We created an educational video that's about 12 minutes long, and the city manager gave the first presentation of that to the Plant City Chamber in December. A postcard was printed that has a QR code that lets people scan that with their phone and take a survey. And as I mentioned, the chamber luncheon, we have some future presentations already scheduled. I'm speaking Wednesday at the Lions Club, and then the city manager speaking in February 8th, I believe it is, at the Kiwanis Club. And we'll continue to set up meetings for neighborhood associations and some town hall meetings. And I'm in the process of revising the Chapter 58 of the Solid Waste Code, which makes sure that the things that we want to accomplish with this automated program are covered in our code. Next. So in phase one, which is where we're at now, we've already ordered the 4 trucks. And when they arrive, we'll start training. And then by the end of August, we'll convert 3 of our residential routes to automated collection, and we'll order half the carts in May, with those due to arrive to be assembled and distributed to the community. And one of the things in our survey is to solicit from the community what size carts they prefer, because there are 3 sizes. In this picture is an example of what the carts will look like. It's a maroon color with the logo. And as we were filming the video, the community was really excited. They actually wanted the carts now. Next. So phase 2 is pretty similar to phase 1. We'll order the 3 additional trucks with your approval. It's from the same sheriff's bid. And again, the cost is just under $1 million. And again, it'll include this technology. It's already funded in our fleet replacement fund, so there's no increase to the community in cost. We'll convert the 3 remaining garbage routes, and the whole city will be fully automated collection. And then again, we'll order the remaining 6,000 carts in May of next year. So the 2 phases kind of mirror each other. Next. So Carter and Kirby asked tonight for your approval to purchase these 3 additional trucks. And I will mention that we actually did, with Friday, we did branding. So we have Carter and Kirby, and then we have 3 trucks, Cedric, Kathy, and Carlos. I didn't include pictures here. But we're going to do things in the community, such as a truck naming contest with the kids. We're really going to get the community involved in this. They're already excited. The people that we had in the video were some people of all ages and all neighborhoods. And it's amazing the excitement level over garbage trucks and carts. But it really is, as you saw in that picture, it's very appealing. Much better than what people see right now on their streets. Next.
I noticed they're all C, so I guess I'm not a lucky one named after me.
Oh, the C's?
Yeah, everything's a C.
We tried to coordinate things with rhyming and color coordination and just cuteness.
Yeah, good idea.
Cuteness. Any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Sessions? So it seems like the plan is moving right along on time and on or under budget, and the implementation is right on schedule. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it seems like the community and the citizens are being receptive and looking forward to the change?
Yes, sir. We've actually received a lot of the surveys back.
Okay.
So we have people that have experience with automation when, they were in the county area, and their feedback will be helpful on things to do and not to do. And also the people who attended the chamber meeting, and we have a big presentation, a hybrid as they call it, of in person and recorded for the Walden Lake Homeowners Association. I think it's February 15th. So that's going to really reach a large part of the community then.
Okay. From all the questionnaires and so forth, I'm assuming you've been able to get some of the input and incorporate it into the rollout as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And frequently asked questions. Yes. And the ordinance changes.
City Manager?
Well, I will just echo what's already been said. This is going quite well, and the public reception has been very positive, and it's on track, it's on target, and this action item tonight is a very significant step moving us forward and preparing us for the 2nd phase of this implementation.
Any questions for the City Manager?
I just have one. Thank you. And I love the cuteness with the names. Just one question. That will, once we start this will not change the routes, dates, or anything like that, will it?
For most of them, no, but anyone whose collection day is going to change, we'll let them know in advance.
Okay.
Most people, it will not.
So there'll still be 2 days a week?
Yeah, definitely 2 days a
good.
week. The day of the week might change for a few residents, but we'll let them know in advance.
Okay.
But yeah, 2 days a week, we'll still have yard waste and bulk and recycling as we do now.
Good. Thank you.
Commissioner Dodson?
Jill, have y'all been in touch with senior members of the community that already struggle sometimes with getting garbage out to the sidewalk for pickup?
Not as of yet, but it is in all of our information that if you are what we call a front door customer, you'll continue to get front door service. So as we start getting into those neighborhoods and doing presentations, that's one of the questions in our frequently asked question, but I'm sure they'll ask us that. We already have that noted on their accounts who those customers are, and we won't change that.
So at some point before this is fully implemented, you'll be in touch specifically with those that are identified for special needs, and make certain they understand that what you're providing is no change, and that you'll be picking up a roll-off cart at their front door or garage side
Yes,
and taking it to the street,
right. And
returning.
And even for people that live in smaller areas who just don't want the big massive carts, there's a smaller one, and with the wheels, it's easy to move. But again, anyone who's what we call front door service now will remain so. And as we get farther along into this in the community will be asked to make a decision what size cart they want. So again, people that don't want the really big one can opt for the small one.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved in second to approve the resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, please place your vote.
You went a little quicker than I was ready.
Great job.
Record the vote, please. Let's approve of the vote of 5-0. Ms. Sessions, great job. Please tell your team we really appreciate the hard work. Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Okay, our next item is to present for your review and hopefully approval the current fiscal year city street resurfacing program. And I have the great distinction of telling you that making his first appearance ever in front of the city commission
I wonder who he was.
is engineering project manager Matt Benton. And he will be walking us through the paving plan and answering all of the withering questions that you may have about that presentation.
Mr. City Manager, when I came in the night, I looked over and I saw him sitting over there. I said, who is that sharp dressed man? So now I know. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Matt Benson. I'm a project manager for the engineering department, and tonight I will be presenting the street resurfacing program for the fiscal year 2021.
Is it on? Or just sit next if it's not on? Or just tell me.
Next. We'll be pulling from two revenue sources for this program. The first is the $1 million that's dedicated to street resurfacing, and the second is the community investment tax funds. This is a total of $3,843,940. Scheduled for 2021, and we'll also be pulling from these funds is the construction and repair of ADA ramps from fiscal years 2016 to 2020 resurfacing programs. This has an estimated cost of $2,176,700 and gives an available budget for resurfacing of $1,667,240. Next slide, please. This next slide illustrates the street selection process. First, streets are selected from the pavement management plan, which was a project to evaluate streets in Plant City based on the pavement condition. Next, the sanitary sewer is reviewed. This is done to make sure that the sewers can handle the loads from the milling and resurfacing process, and it's also done to make sure that no streets on the list have maintenance in the near future for the sewers. The streets are then reviewed by the city manager and finally presented to the city commission for approval. The 2021 street resurfacing program includes 15 streets to be milled and resurfaced, which is about 4.86 centerline miles, and will also include the repair and construction of ADA ramps where necessary, along with miscellaneous drainage improvements. After a few site visits with city staff, we are assuming that there are only minor drainage improvements required and that all the work will be able to happen under the available budget. However, if more substantial drainage improvements are necessary, then certain road segments will need to be delayed to the following year. Next. The street selection program, up to the fiscal year of 2021, will have completed 213 streets, which is 65.29 miles, with a cost of $16.7 million. This map shows all the resurfacing throughout Plant City. In green, you will see all the streets that were resurfaced in 2016 to 2020, which is about 60.43 miles. In yellow, you will see all the streets that were resurfaced that are proposed to be resurfaced in 2021, which is approximately 4.86 miles. The 2021 street resurfacing program has been split up into 2 locations. First location we're looking at here are the streets near Lincoln Elementary School. Again, the streets in yellow are proposed for 2021 resurfacing, and the streets in green have been resurfaced in the past 5 years. If you look closely at South Cornell Street and East Laura Street, you'll see that segments of these streets are not included in the 2021 resurfacing plan. This is because segments of those streets are either brick roads or have been resurfaced with maintenance projects in the past. Another couple items to note on this location is a few of these streets are on the All for Transportation Surtax list and will need to be replaced on this list at a future date with other streets in the city. Also, drainage improvements will be required in this area to alleviate some of the drainage issues in this area. Next slide. This is the second location, which is near Tomlin Middle School. Again, the streets in yellow are proposed for 2021, and the streets in green have been repaved in the past 5 years. The 2 streets in this location are Edward Street and West Oak Avenue. 2 things to note here are these streets resurfacings are contingent upon only minimal drainage improvements being required near Lincoln Elementary School. This work is also to be scheduled after the 2021 Strawberry Festival. The staff recommends adoption of a solution approving the presented list of streets to be resurfaced under the city's street resurfacing program for the fiscal year 2021.
Mr. City Manager.
There's a lot going on here. I do want to point out, for the benefit of the members of our audience, we have the maps at both sides of the dais that show the slide in greater detail of roads that have already been paved and the ones that we are proposing for this year. So if anyone's interested in that detail, we have provided those maps. You see that we're taking a little bit different approach. We are having to do the ADA ramp repairs on our previously resurfaced roads, and we're getting those done this year, and that you saw the impact of that. And the other thing is that we're concentrating into a neighborhood this time, and I can tell you that as I went out and I was looking around and thinking about our resurfacing program and visiting over there, there were 2 things that really struck me. One was the condition of the roads that are around Lincoln School, and they are in, I'll just say, desperate need of attention and resurfacing. We had a number of failed roads over there, and this program for this fiscal year is going to address that. And I think it's a very significant, although concentrated, impact. And then the other thing is that you see we're beginning to get off into that area where, while this might still be technically, we could qualify it as low-hanging fruit, we are having to begin to get into some of the additional related infrastructure, as we talked about with our 1 mil funding program. And in this particular case, we're dealing with the drainage. As I looked at the neighborhood, you saw that we have drainage inlets, but they had no way for the water to get to them. And engineering schooled me, and they consider those minor drainage improvements to create the pathways for the water to get to those inlets. And that's part of what we'll be doing. And some of the work has already begun in-house. You may have noticed over on Maryland Avenue, our crews have been already cleaning out the conveyances along Maryland Avenue, and we're doing some other work in preparation for this. One thing not factored into the presentation is we do not know the outcome of the bids yet. Once this list is approved, we can put it out for bid, and we are hopeful that our experience of the last several years will repeat, and we will get bids that end up being lower than the engineer estimate for this work. That will protect the second phase of the proposal, and hopefully ensure that that gets done. And it could also potentially get us to the point that we might actually be able to add a street or 2, just depending on those bids. I also want to speak briefly to the reference or the mention that was made of the All for Transportation. Some of these streets were on that list. However, the streets are in such condition that I don't feel that we can continue to wait
for that issue to be resolved, and in the best interest of our community, we need to address these roads. Because as I say, we have a couple of these that are actually failed roads, and they needed to be addressed. And I was very comfortable pulling off of the offer transportation to get them done this way, given the condition and the need that exists to address them. I stand for questions.
Any questions, Mr. Benton or City Manager?
Yes, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And very nice presentation for your first. Thank you. My question, I looked at all the roads and I heard you mention about some of them were not done because they are brick roads. And I know it's not in the plan, but that road, street on Warnell leading up to, it's probably like 106, leading up to the railroad track, it's very much in dire need. I don't know if there's a plan. We got money left over, 1.6. I know it's probably going to be expensive, very expensive to tackle that, but that part of Warnell, South Warnell, needs attention. If you can also put that on the list. That's one of those brick roads.
Yeah, there is no money left. I'm not sure that wasn't confusing. The 1.6 is actually what's going into the paving. The other 2 million plus is going into ADA ramps that we are having to address from our previous paving. So we're using all of the available funding for the projects this year. The brick streets, as we've discussed in the past, they are very expensive. And the plan is to concentrate on the asphalt repaving that we can get done, as we've been calling it, the low-hanging fruit. The brick work is going to be extraordinarily expensive in a square footage measure as compared to the asphalt. But we are definitely working on a plan for that going forward.
So does the 2 million we're going to spend on the ADA ramps and everything, does that bring us up to date and meet federal requirements?
Yes, it will catch us up, and then we're doing any necessary ramps in conjunction with this year's paving will be done at the same time. So we will be called up this year.
Okay. Will there be any further needs to fund other ADA ramp requirements in future years here?
Yes, sir. Every time we resurface a road, we must do the ADA ramps to go with it. Whenever we resurface, we have to do the ADA ramps. So in all of your future paving presentations, ADA ramps as required will be included.
So all the ones that we've done in the last 5 years, we're catching them up at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Benton? Or, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Part of the street selection within the pavement management program, as it's called, I suppose you take into account any and all streets that come within the city's jurisdiction as a result of annexation or deals like we had in 2020 with the county, where we exchanged assets and picked up a new addition of maintenance on Park Road. And I suspect that Park Road is probably going to be one of those that's going to cost a significant amount, because it's already in bad shape. It's probably already in a partially failed condition. Just curious, have you taken that into account?
Yes. And I'm glad to be able to tell you that based on my conversations with engineering, the cost of Park Road, while substantial, won't be as substantial as we might have thought or feared, is a significant project, but it's certainly reasonable. And it will be probably, if not next year, the year after. It can't go too many more years without at least a resurface.
Yeah, I'm very familiar firsthand of receiving calls over the previous couple of years when the road's gotten in such bad condition from people that have driven over it that are city residents, thinking it's a city road, calling us for a claim for the damage done to their cars, and we redirected them to the county where the claim was placed, and they honored it. But those claims probably won't go away. They'll be now on our doorstep. So the sooner we can get around to repairing Park Road, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, to clarify on that, we took responsibility for the east-west portion from the stadium to the racetrack. And the worst portion of Park Road, as everybody refers to it, is actually Jim Johnson, which is south of this east-west leg of Park that I'm talking about. And that's where a lot of those claims were coming from. And they've actually resurfaced that recently. That is not part of our responsibility. That remains a county road, you know, and also, we also benefit on the east-west portion of Park Road because the worst part was down there near the intersection. And they've improved that temporarily, and they will be improving it further as part of the signalization project that they are working on at that intersection. So we'll also benefit right around the interchange as a result of that. Yeah.
But there are other roads, as we've been doing some annexations, now they're become city roads, and I guess they'll have to be looked at.
They'll have to be added to the plan. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 motions and 2 seconds. We'll take both of them. And any questions? Seeing none, please place your vote. Record the vote, please. And it's approved with a vote of 5-0. Well, Mr. Benton, congratulations. You have your first resolution approved. We hope there'll be many more.
Sounds good, thank you.
Matt, you did a great job.
Very good job. Absolutely.
Well, now we know who the mystery guy was over there in the jacket.
So if my math is right, we're closing in on about 45% of our roads now that's been resurfaced, somewhere around there. We're just under 50%. Okay, so within the next 5 to 6 years, we should be, unless the cost of the utilities is substantial underneath, we should have all of our roads repaved at that time. So most of the roads should be a new road that would have 12 years or less usage on. Is that correct? Somewhere around, I'm not saying exactly, but somewhere around.
Timeline would slow down with the utilities.
Yeah.
Right. And the cost will go up and the time will stretch out once we get into those roads where we have to do utility work first.
But we also have more dollars coming from the transportation for all tax if that gets approved, which that should be, it should be forthcoming. Okay. And right now, do we know what our balance, can I ask Diane, right? Do we know what our balance is in that account right now, or approximate balance?
It's $5 million.
Is that $5 million? And growing, right?
About 2.3, 2.5 a year. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well,
I was under the impression that the courts that was hearing that appeal of the county commission.
the state Supreme Court is, yes.
Yeah.
They haven't taken it, made a decision yet.
Yeah. Everything I was reading about it was they were not favoring approving it.
We shall see. I hope they do, because we got $5 million of those. Yes, it would. Okay. Madam Clerk, next item. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. City Manager. Next item.
I have a third action item, and this is a resolution asking you to ratify and approve an emergency purchase that I approved in the staff last week. At our well number 7, we had one of the major pumps fail, and it was necessary to get that replaced because the failure of that pump had reduced output from the well to 50%, and the pump was vibrating and was posing a threat to other equipment in the well structure, so we had to get it replaced. It was an emergency action, an emergency repair, totaling $103,900.49. That was the cost of both the pump and the installation of it to keep well number 7 functioning properly. And again, this is a resolution that would ratify and approve the emergency expenditure.
Okay, any questions for the City Manager? Seeing none, let's vote to the Commission.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please place your vote. Record the vote, please. It's approved with a vote of 5-0.
That also, Your Honor, I think comes from the utilities fund, so it's not actually, the utility department is a business, and it's not taxpayer dollars.
So it's not a budget increase.
Right.
Thank you. City Manager?
I have provided in my city manager's report a number of quarterly reports from organizations that receive funding from the city. They are listed here, and their various quarterly reports are attached for your review. I would also like to report that on January 21st, I had the distinct pleasure, along with Assistant City Manager Mercedes Perez, to go out to the Utilities Department and participate in the presentation of a trophy recognition to our Utilities Director, Lynn Spivey. She was being honored by the Florida Water Reuse Florida organization, recognizing her tenure for the last 2 years as their president. And it was great to see her get recognized. It was also very nice to be able to participate in that. Beyond that, I will let the written report stand for itself. And again, I stand for any questions.
Any questions for City Manager? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, I believe you're on the line.
Mr. Mayor.
No report, Mr. City Attorney. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I have a resolution available for consideration. The 2-year term of Stephen Hollenkamp expires on February 1st. He serves on the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. I advertised the position as instructed for 30 days, and we'll have received no other applications except for Mr. Hollenkamp does wish to be reappointed to the board if the commission
Well, good.
pleasures it.
We have Mr. Hollenkamp present this evening. Thank you for your past service, and I will take action on the future service. What's the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please place your vote. Is this a voice vote or we got it? It's approved with a vote of 5-0. Mr. Hollenkamp, I'll tell you, I think most people don't realize just how much work, being on the Citizen Advisory Board for the MPO is. It's a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of data, a lot of research. It's a big commitment. And I'll tell you, we really appreciate you being willing to, extend and serve again. So thank you for your service you've already provided. And we really do appreciate you representing us on that board going forward as well. Would you like to say anything? You're good. Well, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
I might add to that, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, that on several occasions, many occasions, actually, I've had the pleasure of talking with Stephen and the work he's doing on that, as well as many other things. But thrilled to know of his dedication and his interest in that area of work. And it's very likely that if things continue, he'll probably be moved into a greater leadership role in that capacity, and look forward to that hopefully coming about for him and for that group, and having a representative from Plant City be in that capacity. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Mathis.
Yes, sir. First of all, you mentioned those 2 gentlemen that passed away, Mr. Dan Walden and Mr. Henry Falcon, and I want to offer my condolences to their families as well. Ms. Pat, I think that proclamation is speaking for itself, but I want to say thank you for all that you do for Plant City and that you will continue to do. We really appreciate you. Just want to say thank you to that. Also to our recreation department, I don't know if you had the opportunity to read the Observer. They did a great article on the Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center and all the traffic that's going through there. You can't pass there any day and the parking lot is almost full. So we really appreciate what the recreation department is doing. And I had mentioned to you once before about the Optimist Club, but I want to publicly say they've left though, but for the record, thank you for their contribution. Also, congratulations to the 2021 Strawberry Queen, Miss McKenna Jordan, and her court on Saturday. And I know she's looking forward to that. And last but not least, go Bucks. And I wish them well for that Super Bowl. I tried to get a ticket, but it was a little bit out my price range. But go Bucks.
You brought up the Queen of the Court.
Yes.
I would like to mention that we'll be honoring them at the February 22nd meeting here. Okay. Commissioner Dawson.
And they'll be honored tomorrow at the Lions Club as tradition, the week of. No, it's always the week after because the festival pageant's always held on the weekend, but on Tuesdays when Lions Club meets, they're always, their first event is to attend a meeting at the Lions Club and then to be greeted by the Lions Club members, which puts on, conducts the pageant. So they'll be there tomorrow. I also wanted to congratulate you, Pat. We love you. You're a wonderful lady that we all enjoy very much. We like knowing and seeing you out in our audience each meeting. You've obviously done a great deal for the community. We appreciate the value of what you bring to the community, and we know that you have plenty more to give, so we'll be looking for you to do that. And if we can do anything to assist you, we'll be happy to do so. Last week was a tough week for Plant City with the loss of Don Walden and Henry Falcon. I was at the funeral. It was a very touching ceremony for Henry Falcon. That was hard to take because, as we know, he was a wonderful man that was always very kindly to everyone that came in contact with, especially if you entered his store. He was there to greet you and have a conversation and do anything he could for anyone to help in any way. So he's going to be dearly missed. But on another note, now we're into 2021, and as you know, the first quarter of every year, it seems like everything just starts rolling, and one thing after another begins to happen, starting today with the EDC meeting that I was enjoying attending. There, effectively. And the announcement from City Furniture that came from it was welcomed, as we heard from the gentleman that was there representing City Furniture, a member of the family, since it's a private enterprise, said the deal is done, the property is purchased, and they plan to move ahead with building a 150,000 square foot retail store attached to a 1 million square foot warehouse. That'll be located on South Frontage Road and employ nearly 500 people or more, which is a great addition to Plant City. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. They've had a great success, and they're moving into the central part of the state, looking for continued growth and success here, and I think they'll receive it. So it'll be a great addition to Plant City. And looking forward to Wednesday's event where we'll be recognizing city employees, and in particular the 3 charter members of our membership on the dais. And Mayor's going to be presenting on that. So we really look forward to that. And on Thursday, I think we have another event, Lakeside Logistics Brokerage opening. It's a grand opening that we've been invited to attend. And on Thursday evening, that's what you're referring to as the annual chamber passing in the gavel and installing the new officers and recognizing outstanding businesses. That's all been combined now, and it's a big event. It's a very nice evening. That also is on Thursday night. So 2021 is off and rolling, just like all the years that we've been a part of this organization. We can chart our social calendar, our social calendars from the beginning of the year right through to the end. And as things open up a bit, vaccination from COVID, I think we'll be seeing a great restoration of an eventful year in Plant City. That's all the comments I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Dawson. Appreciate it. Department.
Thank you, Honor. Really, I have no further comment there. I think my fellow commissioners covered it quite well. I too, of course, was shocked when I received the word of Don Walden, and he's a relative of mine, and then of course Henry, and I passed that information when I got it to fellow commissioners. It's really disheartening. In all sense, Henry's a young man to pass away like this, but and his family was really struggling with it, and they're a very close family. So I know my family, our thoughts and prayers are with them and the Walden family. So I have no further comment, Your Honor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Certainly not much more I can say either. Condolences for Mr. Walden, Falcone. I believe they were both Citizens of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly huge contributors to our community. Sad for that loss, and Again, congratulations, Ms. Pogue, and thank you, Mr. Holland, for you and the Optimist Club and all that you do. I had the opportunity to do a Facebook interview this morning with our Representative Lawrence McClure, and had a great conversation, just kind of an outlook for what the legislative session might look like here coming up in March. And certainly very important time. There's a $2 billion budget shortfall that needs to be made up because of COVID. So thankful that he's vice chair of the Appropriations Committee this year. Find him to be very level-headed and pragmatic business person. He's introducing a bill that I think is very important for Florida, HB 7, that will address and talk about giving a liability protection to businesses who follow reasonable protocols to protect their customers and their employees. Something that frankly, I feel we should have gotten from Washington and hasn't happened. So I'm glad that that's going to happen, you know, at the Florida level. And so through those conversations, just really grateful that, you know, we have a balanced budget in Florida. We have a balanced budget in Plant City. You know, a lot of chaos in DC. But I remember vividly many, many years ago, a good friend of mine and mentor, Art Wood, who told me that government is local. You know, sometimes it's difficult to feel like we can have a real big impact in Washington. Of course, we need to vote. We need to support the people and the ideas that are important to us. But where we really make an impact and where it's tangible is at the local level. So I'm just happy that we're doing what we're doing in Plant City. We positioned ourselves well to weather the storm and to come out, you know, very, very good on the other side. So I just want to share that with everybody. Thank you, Your Honor.
We're in good shape.
We're in very good shape.
Very good shape. Okay. I have no further comment because I think all the comments were great tonight. It's all been said. So we'll go ahead and move forward. Madam Clerk, next item.
Legislative public hearings. This is a public hearing on a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, relating to the proposed amendment of the comprehensive plan for the city and directing the city manager to transmit copies of said amendment to the State of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, and the Department of Transportation as provided by law, and announcing the intention to schedule a second public hearing for an adoption of the proposed plan amendments upon receipt of written comments from the Department of Economic Opportunity, PC/CPA 20-07. We have Mr. Hudson.
Mr. Hudson, I believe you're on the line to present.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Great. If someone could bring up my PowerPoint, there it is. As the city clerk mentioned, we have one plan amendment for you to consider tonight, PCCPA 20-07. If I could have the next slide, please. This is the location of the plan amendment. It is located at the point where Wiggins Road goes from a north-south road to the east-west road at that bend. And you can see here located on the vision map for Plant City. Next slide, please. This gives you a better idea of where the location of the plan amendment. It's circled by the lavender dashed line. It is located between the now closed Coronet Mine and also the new site for the recently constructed Home Depot warehouse distribution center. To the north are single-family homes on rather large lots, but you can see the location of the site in the center of the slide. Next slide, please. By way of a little bit of background, this is a result of a voluntary annexation. It is over 10 acres, so it will require, for your final consideration, transmittal to the Department of Economic Opportunity. It's coming in at about 18.5 acres. Current land use is Hillsborough County Residential 1. The applicant has requested Plant City Residential 4 on the northern half of the property, and on the southern half of the property, they've requested Parks, Recreation, Open Space. The applicant wishes to operate the southern portion of the property as a private recreational facility. Next slide, please. This shows you the land use as it stands today. The light green color of Hillsborough County Residential 1 is currently on the plan amendments circled in the black dashed line. You can see the industrial land uses both to the east and west in Plant City and Hillsborough County. One represents, as I noted, the closed Coronet Mine to the west, and to the east, the Home Depot Distribution Center. And you can see the Hillsborough County Residential to the north, which represents those large lot single-family detached homes. If I could have the next slide. Here you can see how the map would change if you were to approve this later in the month of March. The northern half of the property would have the yellow representing Plant City Residential 4, and the southern half of the property would have the green color representing Plant City Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. Next slide, please. Looked at it from maximum build-out potential, which on the northern portion of the parcel would be 34 dwelling units, and on the southern portion of the parcel would be about 108,000 square feet of recreation and open space. Next slide. I have some photos here to give you a little bit of idea of the character of the area. This shows you the site with the red dot in the middle of the screen. You can see some of the areas that to the west related to Coronet Mine. This photo is located. You see some of the agricultural uses to the east, which is now the Home Depot Distribution Center. And to the north, you can see some of the single-family homes, as I've already noted. Next slide. This slide is a little bit more current. You can see the edge of the warehouse facility for Home Depot. You can see the applicant's home on his site. And also you can see that he already has some recreational facilities on the southern portion. As you can see the baseball diamond just to the left of the red dot. Next slide. This shows you the access to the site from South Wiggins Road at that bend where it goes from north-south to east-west. Next slide. This shows you South Wiggins Road looking north, as showing you some of the residential development that is north of the site. Next slide. And this shows you South Wiggins Road looking east as that transition occurs. There's residential uses to the south. And if you can look off into the distance, some of the area that now is being developed as the Home Depot warehouse facility. Next slide. Our staff did review this. In particular, we looked at the future land use element. The complete goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet. However, our staff felt this request was consistent with the areas of neighborhood conservation, community development, your policies and goals related to future growth and annexations, growth management. We did talk to the utilities department, and there is the ability to serve this with the capacity available for water and wastewater services. So we felt it was consistent with those policies, and also consistent with policies related to your recreation and open space. Next slide. There are some issues concerning school capacity, and that, of course, will have to go through a concurrent process with the Hillsborough County School District when the applicant proposes to add those additional units. At this time, he is not. Also, any required transportation improvements related to the zoning will need to be coordinated with Hillsborough County. I already noted that the city staff does not feel there's any issue with water and wastewater services. There is some on-site wetlands that kind of bifurcate the area between the residential 4 to the north and the parks and recreational land use plan category to the south. And those wetlands will need to be protected per the rules and regulations of EPC and the city of Plant City. Next slide. The planning board did review this on December 9th, and they recommended finding it consistent with the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission as well later in, well, I should say in the beginning of this year on January 11th, and they concurred with the planning board with the same recommendation. We're here today to garner your direction to transmit this to the Department of Economic Opportunity for their review and comment. And if you do take that action this evening, we would project the adoption hearing to be probably in the month of March of 2021. And it's my understanding that the rezoning is being processed concurrently, which would also be available for your review at the same hearing. If I could have the next slide, please. With that, our staff recommends that the City Commission adopt a resolution directing staff to transmit PCCPA 20-07 to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and other state and local agencies for their review and comment as required by Chapter 163 Florida statutes. Mayor, that concludes my presentation. I stand for any questions, and I do know the applicant's agent is present to also make a brief presentation.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Hudson? Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. Sir, I know you're here for this public hearing. Please come forward. Name and address for the public hearing for the record.
Excuse me, mask has been on too long. Good evening, everybody. Colin Rice, attorney with the law firm of Shoemaker, Luke and Hendrick, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33602. I am here on behalf of the property owner, the applicant, Blaine Fox. I want to thank everybody for their time this evening. Thank Mr. Hudson for his help and professionalism through this process. I won't add a whole lot to what he's already gone through. We certainly concur with all of staff's assessments. Again, we had favorable recommendation from the planning board, from the planning commission, and we're requesting your favorable consideration again here tonight. And just to explain a little bit more with some context about what we're doing here. So Mr. Fox lives here. It's about 18 acres. We're proposing to keep the northern portion of the property as is. So it's a residential home. It's open space, green, and we don't expect for that to really change anytime soon. So we found an appropriate comprehensive plan category, the R4 category. It's capable of a higher degree of density, but there's no plan to pursue that. And then the south is where it gets interesting, is the comprehensive plan category of recreation, open space, where he can have a high-end commercial specialized athletics training facility specifically for baseball. So Mr. Fox has a long history in baseball. He played for the Tigers affiliate back in the day, and he stayed with it, and he's been coaching. And this really started when his kids started to get older, and they wanted to get a little bit more detailed with their playing baseball and training, and it just sort of built. Their friends got involved to where it's becoming a pretty exciting business, and he wants to bring that into Plant City and really be able to devote his efforts into this enterprise.
He's been training them for some time, hasn't he?
Yes, there is. You can see from the photograph, and I think if we're able to get slide 3 up, you should be able to see there's a baseball, but it's just a diamond, and it's netted in just for infield training drills and hitting and that sort of thing.
How's he going to improve that?
I'm sorry?
What's the expansion?
Oh, it's right here.
As of now, I'm not aware of any designs to improve and create new development on the property. It's pretty much what's there. They just want to proliferate the business and have it as part of the Plant City community.
Was that the slide?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So you can see there's a diamond there and like a prefabricated structure there for training activities. And so it's their hope to bring in a broader array of baseball players for the specialized training and help the prospects and perhaps put some folks into the leagues. So with that, I'll remain for any questions. I appreciate your time this evening.
Any questions from Mr. Rice?
Well, we're real familiar with this property because, well, Home Depot was under construction. I would use Wiggins Road to access that portion of the property where the construction was going on. I got curious about that property because I kept riding by it. It's in the beginning of an S curve where you see that property, and then I would see a lot of dirt accumulating there. I knew there was, because he has a little handwritten sign up there, something about baseball. Yeah. I kind of got asking around, and I found out about it. So I'm very happy for Mr. Fox. It just seems like one of those things we see on TV. If you build it, they'll come. So I was kind of hoping he would expand it, make something even greater of it than what it is. So I hope he does eventually.
With enough interest, maybe.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Rice? See none. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the commission at this time? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the commission?
Move for approval.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please place your vote. Record the vote, please. Must approve of the vote of 5-0. Let Mr. Fox continue doing business there, but now in the city of Plant City, okay? Okay. That concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you for your participation here tonight, as well as online. This meeting's adjourned.